Good evening, everyone. My name is William Iannuzzi. I'm president of the Board of Education, and I would like to call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Iannuzzi?
Here.
Ms. Brooks? Ms. Barrios-Brooks? Ms. Bavosa?
Present.
Ms. Castellano-Minaya?
Here.
Ms. Lewis? Mr. Peters?
Here.
Ms. Ross? Mr. Vega?
Here.
Ms. Williams?
Present.
A quorum is present.
Colleagues, can I get a motion and a second to go immediately into executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular person?
So moved, Williams. Second, Bavosa.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll be back to start the public session around 7 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. My name is William Iannuzzi. I'm president of the Board of Education, and we're going to resume the public session of the meeting. Colleagues, can I get a motion and a second to resume the public portion of the meeting?
So moved, Bavosa.
Second, Ross.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming tonight. We have a very packed agenda, so we're going to start things off and get it moving. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? We're going to start off meeting off with our Board of Education announcements. I just want to say I'm excited to be here at Albert Leonard. I graduated from Albert Leonard back in the day. So Camille, thank you for inviting us and having us here today at your meeting. Do any of my colleagues have any announcements they would like to make? Ms. Ross?
I just wanted to wish everyone who celebrates Happy Diwali. And for those who don't know, basically it is the celebration of light over darkness. And during this time of particularly, I just wish that we have more peace and prosperity, and that the light will win over the darkness. Thank you.
Ms. Williams?
Good evening, New Rochelle. I would like to wish everyone a happy Diwali as well, and Indigenous Peoples Month, and happy Thanksgiving coming up. And just to mention some great things that happened this past weekend. On Friday, we had our waffle decorating activity as a fundraiser for the Lincoln Avenue PTA. And also I was able to attend a flea market at Mascaro's Boys and Girls Club, and we had vendors there who work in our district who were selling some great things. And also we had an HBCU, Historically Black College and Universities College Fair, and that occurred on November the 11th. And I'm the board buddy for Jefferson School, and Jefferson School will be having a Thanksgiving food drive and holiday shop. So please contribute. And also, we will be having our New Rochelle Thanksgiving Parade, and the Grand Marshal this year will be our very own Minister Mark McLean. He worked in the New Rochelle school system. He was a fireman, and he's also the president of the NAACP. So everyone, I'm thankful for you. Have a great November.
Ms. Castellano-Minaya?
I had the honor of attending a phenomenal summit last week for parents and educators called Empowering Your Student to Counter Anti-Semitism at the Westchester Reformed Temple. And this important discussion, timely discussion, really reminds us of how important it is to check on all of our students and make sure that regardless of their background, regardless of their religion, regardless of their culture, all students feel supported at school. And one of the debates that came up amongst the parents was that students who are in middle school, high school, college are even discussing, should I outwardly show signs of my faith? Should I wear the Star of David? And it was powerful to hear and reflect together, and how we as educators can ensure that our students know that they are welcome regardless of their faith, and they are valued, and that we will not stand for anti-Semitism in any format. And I'm very proud that this district is working together with community leaders, together with teachers and educators and school leaders, to ensure that our schools are free from hate speech, hate symbols, and bigotry in any form. Thank you.
Ms. Bavosa?
As Honorable Ross mentioned, happy Diwali to those who celebrate. But the concept of it, light over darkness, peace and prosperity, would that we would all experience that in our lives, which piggybacks on what some of my other colleagues have said. And also, I just heard tonight that the Westchester Putnam PTSA Heroes Luncheon is actually celebrating a New Rochelle teacher from Barnard School, Kathleen Connolly, who oversees the Amy's Garden, the 9/11 Memorial at Barnard, is being recognized as a hero in Westchester Putnam County from the PTSA. So I thought that was pretty extraordinary.
I'll make this very quick. Also graduated from here, so I'm excited to be back. This is a very just lighthearted moment, so happy Diwali also. But as you all know, I work for New York City, and I sent out an email that went out today. It's about over 1,000 principals in our system, asking them to do something else. But one of them wrote back and said, "Hey, we never got to meet, but I was the head of your program for Performing Heights in New Rochelle, and I dearly miss this place." So just a kind note to remind everyone that while we're thinking about We Are One New Rochelle, we're going into the holidays, that our legacy goes well beyond these walls, goes well beyond our schools, and you're impacting the rest of the state around you. So kudos to us.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Seeing no more announcements, we're going to move over to the superintendent's report. So I'll throw it over to you, Dr. Reynolds.
Thank you very much, President Iannuzzi, to my board trustees, to the community who is here in attendance. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. And to our community who might be watching on television, I hope you're having a pleasant evening. I have a few stories that I would like to share with you. Again, keeping in mind that we are changing the narrative of New Rochelle, and we are celebrating all of our wonderful gifts and talents as are experienced by as are demonstrated by our students and by our faculty members and staff members. The second library card initiative organized and is currently underway by My Brother's Keeper under the leadership of Mr. Nate Adams in collaboration with the New Rochelle Public Library. The district's kindergarten students embarked on their second field trip to the New Rochelle Library to receive their library cards. The Kindergarten Library Card Project was created in support of one of the key tenets of My Brother's Keeper, promoting the power of literacy. We'd like to say congratulations to the Webster Elementary School for their high school musical junior performance with over 99 children in the show. That is phenomenal. For those of you who might be up there in age like myself, it reminds me of that Our Gang episode where the entire community was in the play and there was nobody there to see it, right? Because everybody was acting. But we want to congratulate Webster Elementary School. On Thursday, November 2nd, the Albert Leonard Middle School sixth graders were treated to a presentation by world-renowned YouTube performer Mr. Nicky. Daniel Nicky is an English teacher who has become a YouTube sensation by taking contemporary songs and infusing them with world history-related lyrics. As a part of the Isaac E. Young Middle School mission to widen the educational experiences that allow students to see themselves as a part of the community and greater society, students recently participated in discussion sessions with two New Rochelle City Council members, Yadira Ramos Herbert and Martha Lopez Hanratty of the 3rd District and the 1st District, respectively. They visited the school earlier this month, meeting with our middle school students in 2 interactive sessions in which the students gained greater understanding of local government, upcoming city initiatives, avenues for civic engagement, and this was organized by the Isaac E. Young Middle School Humanities Chairperson, Dr. Beatrice Lopez. The interactive sessions gave students an opportunity to articulate their concerns and prioritize their desires in ongoing development and the growth of the city. They presented their claims on matters they believe should be at the forefront of the city's government's resource allocation. So our young folk have their voices heard by the adults who help to make decisions. And that's what we're looking for in public education. Congratulations to New Rochelle High School seniors, New Rochelle High School seniors Guadalupe Zepeda and Miriam Martinez, who have been named the Latino U College Access, or LUCA, scholars, earning them valuable guidance on the college process. Based in White Plains, LUCA provides funding and support to Latino families to attend college. Since its founding in 2013, the organization has supported more than 300 students, 93 of whom have attended 4-year colleges with a 97% graduation rate, or being on track to graduate in 4 to 7 years. 2 longtime New Rochelle City School District employees were among those recognized at the New Rochelle NAACP's 55th Annual Freedom Fund Awards dinner earlier this month at the Green Tree Country Club. I had the pleasure of attending that with my wife, and we had a fantastic time. Columbus Elementary School 4th grade teacher, Miss Aisha Cook, received the Hallie M. Taylor Educational Award, and the district's Assistant Director of Security, Mr. Robert Bynum, was honored with the Alma H. Gaines Community Service Award. Ms. Cook joined the New Rochelle school community in 1999, teaching both 3rd and 4th grade at Columbus. She currently teaches the school's 4th grade modified kaleidoscope class. She holds numerous positions in the teaching and school community, advocating for teachers and women's rights, and is a leader and enthusiastic volunteer with several community organizations in New Rochelle. Mr. Bynum, a graduate of New Rochelle Public Schools, has a long history of working in the community, starting out as a lifeguard at Lincoln Pool at the age of 16. He began his career with New Rochelle Schools as a part-time security guard in 1999, gradually promoting to his current title of Assistant Director of Security. He is also an active member of the school community as a mentor to high school students and as a basketball coach. Most famously, he coached the girls' varsity basketball team from 2003 to 2021. For our community, I would like to take this time to recognize all of the veterans who have put themselves in harm's way to secure the freedoms and rights that we as U.S. citizens are afforded on a daily basis. To all of our veterans who are watching or in the audience, I wish you a belated Happy Veterans Day. On Saturday at 8 a.m., for the minimal cost of $5, can you raise your hand if you have $5 in your pocket right now? And if you don't have $5, is there somebody you can borrow $5 from sitting near you? So for the minimal cost of $5, I look forward to our community gathering for the annual New Rochelle Fund for Excellence in Education pancake breakfast in the New Rochelle House 4 cafeteria right before the city's Thanksgiving parade. Please keep in mind, New Rochelle offers the 2nd largest Thanksgiving parade in New York. So we hope to see you there, and I hope that you enjoy the day. But in order to be there, it's supposed to be a little bit damp. In order to be there and be comfortable, please come and get some pancakes, okay? Also keep in mind, and I want you to put on your calendars the date of February 1st, 2024, February 1st. I hope to see many of you in the house at the Surf Club for the New Rochelle Fund for Educational Excellence Gala. Usually it takes place in the spring, but we have a very special reason for why it's taking place on February 1st this year. More to come, more to come. Please be reminded that schools and offices will be closed for students on Thursday and Friday, November 23rd and 24th for the observance of Thanksgiving. Also, on the day before that, on Wednesday, November 22nd, there will be a half day of school for all students and an early dismissal for all faculty and staff. With that, Mr. President, I have concluded my superintendent's report, and I yield the microphone to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reynolds. Next up on our agenda are discussion items, and the first one up is the Albert Leonard presentation. So I'll throw it over back to you, Dr. Reynolds, to set the stage.
Thank you. So this evening, I'm not supposed to divulge what was discussed in executive session, but we were talking about the fact that Superman is not coming. And I'm going to state that Superman does come for every one of our board meetings. Thank you, Travis, for the microphone as you fly back to your perch. Good evening, everyone. It is my honor to present to you our leader of the famous Albert Leonard Middle School, who will bring to you this evening a presentation so that we can hear some of the great things that are occurring in our building, some of the great things that are being influenced by the people in our building, and most especially so that we can hear and see what is being done on behalf of our most precious resources, our students. So I'd like to bring up to the microphone Ms. Camille Edwards-Thomas, principal of Albert Leonard Middle School.
Good evening. Welcome to Albert Leonard. If I may, can I ask the board to join us down front?
Sorry.
No problem. Can I move this a little bit? There you go. There you go. Ms. Mushi, are you ready? Thank you, Mr. Travis. Appreciate it.
She's got your clicker, right?
She's got my clicker. We're good. Good evening. Good evening, Board President Iannuzzi, Superintendent Reynolds, our esteemed board members, the Superintendent's Cabinet, and dedicated faculty and staff of Albert Leonard Middle School, and most importantly, our Albert Leonard families. I am Camille Edwards-Thomas, the principal of Albert Leonard Middle School, and it is my pleasure to have you here this evening. We are excited to welcome you to our campus and share some of the important accomplishments we've achieved over the past school year. Our area of focus for us has been creating a welcoming and affirming environment for our students. In this presentation, we will illuminate some of the ways outside of the classroom to help our students to feel comfortable, safe, and welcomed, and give them opportunities to develop their creativity, critical thinking skills, and their voices. Creating a nurturing environment is crucial as it fosters the holistic development of students. It enables them to grow both academically and as individuals, nurturing their creativity and critical thinking and empowering them to express their voices. And welcome.
I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us. For we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. Oh, 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 oh. Another round of bullets hits my skin. We'll fire away, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. We are warriors, yeah, that's what we become. I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us. For we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. Oh, 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 this is me. Thank you, Dr. Roberts. Can we get another round of applause for Mr. Manning and the 8th grade chorus? Just one of the ways we're amplifying student voices.
In alignment with district-wide goals of culturally responsive and sustaining education, we have continued our work in the area of a welcoming and affirming environment, Principle 1 of CRSE, and some of the things we do and have done to encourage a sense of belonging. These initiatives align with the district's commitment to creating a safe, inclusive, and collaborative environment and preparing our students to effectively engage in a diverse world. Our media club has been nothing short of extraordinary. They have been busy creating videos, podcasts, and public service announcements that not only reflect the talents of our students, but also serve as platforms for open dialogue. These creative endeavors allow students to express themselves and their views, promoting inclusivity through artistic expression. We began the Media Club to create a vehicle for student voices. Over the past year, the Media Club has become an integral part of our school community, providing public service announcements for school events, commercials for student activities, faculty and staff interviews, and their very own podcasts. These activities are created and curated by our student team. Last year, we started with only a few regular attendees. This year, we have over 76 students who have signed up to participate in one of the many aspects of the Media Club. As you can see from this slide, they have logos, they have videos that they've created, all created by the students. We share the videos and podcasts weekly through our weekly newsletter. You'll hear that mentioned here a few times. This evening, Mr. Silviotti, our tech facilitator, Mr. Silviotti, and some of our Media Club students, Samantha Eisner and Elliot Weiser, are here to tell you more about what the experience has meant to them. Samantha and Elliot.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Samantha Eisner, and I'm here to talk to you about our Albert Leonard Media Club. We are a group of students who are passionate about using media to spread information and tell stories to our Albert Leonard community. Our Media Club is a creative space where we can explore our interests in podcasting, logo design, writing, and videography. We learn from each other, share ideas, and work together to produce high-quality content showcasing our school's best. We love to motivate students to develop their ideas for new podcasts and interviews. We have many groups of students who can create weekly podcasts and can be showcased in the community newsletter. One thing we pride ourselves on is being a student-run club. For example, in the beginning of the year, I started the Teacher Feature segment. My idea revolves around randomly selecting teachers and staff around the building so the rest of our community can get to know them better. We create short 1 to 2 minute videos and ask questions like, how long you've been teaching at ALMS, and why do you love this school? It has been a real joy to plan, coordinate, and execute these videos. Being a part of Media Club has been an incredible experience for all of us. It has taught us how to be initiative, communicate responsibly, and learn new ways to showcase our creativity. We have learned so much about media production, teamwork, and the importance of storytelling. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to our advisor, Mr. Silviotti, for guiding us through all these new and exciting endeavors. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Elliot Weiser, and our videography and editing teams are always on the lookout for new ways to capture the feeling of our school community. We've created videos about school sports, performances, and special events. We love using our camera to share the excitement and energy of our school with our ALMS family. One of my favorite involvements in the club has been to edit and create podcasts about different aspects of school life. We've interviewed teachers, students, and even our principal to get their perspectives on everything from academic challenges to extracurricular activities. We also really like to create logos. We've created different logos for pieces of our club like sports, news, and even special events. We love using our creativity to come up with designs that are both eye-catching and purposeful. Other student interests include researching fun topics and writing about them. The writing team is always on the lookout for new stories to tell. We've written articles about upcoming events, student achievements, biographies, and parody articles. We're passionate about using our voices to inform and inspire our fellow students. We're also proud to be part of a club that is dedicated to promoting spirit and connecting our community. If you're interested in learning more about the Media Club, please feel free to come to one of our meetings or talk to one of us. We're always looking for new members who share a passion for media and storytelling. Finally, all of our content can be found on the ALMS weekly newsletter. Thank you for your time, and we hope to see you at our next meeting.
Thank you, Samantha Eisner and Elliot Weiser. Next, we have recognition of our ALMS debate team, advised by our very own Ms. Christina Johnson. Ms. Johnson. The debate team had a remarkable inaugural year. They exemplify our commitment to promoting critical thinking and diverse perspectives. Last year marked the launch of our debate team at ALMS, and I'm proud to share that they not only competed, but excelled in their first year. The debate team placed in every event, showcasing the power of constructive discourse. Of the 3 competitions they participated in, they swept 2 of them, taking home 2 first-place trophies. We had to dust them off and bring them out. Through debate, our students develop critical thinking skills and the ability to articulate their thoughts and a deep appreciation for differing perspectives. This initiative reinforces our commitment to nurture student voices and foster an environment where opinions are respected. Through structured dialogues and respectful communication, students learn how to engage in civil discourse. They acquire the ability to express differing viewpoints without hostility, promoting a culture of respectful disagreement and cooperation. Will the students from our debate team for the 22-23 school year please stand and be recognized? Representing our debate team, Soham Dash, Madeline Plaxton, Millen Cordero, Riley Kamba, Ariana Singletary, and Julianne Fiore. And Samantha Eisner. I got it right. Congratulations and thank you, and we're looking forward to another successful year with our debate team. Miss Christina Johnson is very busy at Albert Leonard Middle School. Our final student-led initiative to be highlighted this evening is No Place for Hate, advised by Miss Christina Johnson. I know. This past school year, we achieved the gold standard in No Place for Hate. This is a testament to our commitment to a respectful, inclusive school culture. No Place for Hate encourages dialogue about inclusivity, respect, and equity, and underscores the significance of treating every individual with kindness and going beyond kindness to social justice. We encourage students to take a proactive rather than reactive approach. This is why we implemented this program. Through the No Place for Hate initiative, students participated in an anti-bias workshop. One of the most inspiring developments was this workshop, which was entirely created and executed by our students. They demonstrated remarkable courage and leadership in addressing critical issues such as anti-bias, allyship, and identifying and going beyond the surface. This school climate program not only promotes student voices, but showcases the transformative power of student influence. Yesterday, we kicked off our 2023-24 No Place for Hate initiative by having students sign the pledge in honor of World Kindness Day. We want to publicly acknowledge our No Place for Hate advisor and all of the students involved in making this happen. Our goal is to achieve gold status again this year, and we look forward to another inspiring year. Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Our banner, our gold achievement banner is hanging on the other side of the wall. So this next slide talks about what students feel. So this last piece of our presentation is about a survey that we administered last spring to our students. We wanted to understand how our students felt about what was happening in our school. We asked a few questions. How do you feel in your classrooms? In your school in general? Do you feel that you have positive relationships with teachers and with other staff members in the building? 615 students completed the survey, and their responses were as follows. 92% said they feel safe in their classrooms. 81% said they feel safe at school overall. 88% said they have positive relationships with teachers, and 76% have positive relationships with other adults in the building. If you know anything about middle schools, you know that this data is trending in the right direction. Students are feeling comfortable, developing their sense of identity, and affirming their belonging in the ALMS community. We owe that in part to the types of initiatives that we highlighted this evening. We thank our staff members who advised and supported these groups for their work. Thank you. Finally, when speaking of student-centered, welcoming, and affirming, we must speak about our unique and talented staff. This evening, we recognize some of our remarkable team as they acknowledged the achievement of tenure this year. We have 7 people who achieved tenure. 4 of them are with us this evening. We want to honor these dedicated individuals who make this possible. We are proud to be the first schools to present and to acknowledge the hard work and dedication of our staff members who received tenure at the end of the 2022-23 school year. First, we have Ms. Laura Altschuler and Mr. Omar Martinez, who could not be with us this evening. They are both teaching assistants in our special education department and support our most vulnerable students in their times of need and support the work we do with students in Albert Leonard. And we want to acknowledge them even though they're not here, and we have flowers for them for tomorrow. Next, I'm going to go out of order. Ms. Rana Hafiz, who is our math department chairperson. She is unable to be with us this evening because she has an academic commitment. So she wanted to make sure you knew she was not just out partying. So Ms. Rana Hafiz has also achieved tenure this year, and we will also acknowledge her publicly tomorrow when she's in our building. So congratulations to Ms. Hafiz. I'm calling Ms. Millicent Lee to the stage to give our next tenure awardee her recognition. So I'd like to call Ms. Jennifer Costello to the stage so you can hear it live and direct.
Good evening. Jennifer's commitment to supporting our students and families is unparalleled. She brings compassion, empathy, and cultural competence to her work, supporting families as they navigate challenging circumstances. She is particularly skilled at cross-cultural communication, building trust and rapport with non-English speaking families, and promoting mutual understanding and respect. Jennifer is joined by her children Fallon, Gavin, and Morgan, and her husband Raymond, lovingly known as Ramon. In addition to her work with students and families, Jennifer has also been an active member of our school community. She has served on various committees and task forces, providing her expertise, insight, and leadership to help our school navigate challenges and seize opportunities. She is a respected colleague and an effective communicator and a consummate professional. Congratulations. Next, I'd like to introduce Julie Verville, the Middle School Science Department Chairperson, to call upon the next person, Robert Ettlinger. Thank you.
Good evening. We are pleased to recommend Mr. Robert Etlinger to receive tenure in the City School District of New Rochelle. Mr. Etlinger joined Albert Leonard Middle School during the 2018 school year as a 7th grade teacher, and he currently teaches our Science 8 and Living Environment courses. Mr. Etlinger readily volunteers his time for our students in school. He worked with the Iona College STEP program to support an AI club in which students built custom projects. He also facilitated a science research club to support students in conducting STEM research projects. Additionally, he served as club leader for the National Junior Honor Society and the Math Counts Club, and the list honestly goes on and on. During his time with the district, Mr. Etlinger has demonstrated a commitment to his learning community, as well as a strong belief in the importance of helping students achieve their full potential. Thank you for your dedication to our school and to the students of New Rochelle. Mr. Etlinger is joined today by his wife, Christina, and son, Grayson. Congratulations, Mr. Etlinger. It's a pleasure.
Okay, so can we call the next tenure awardee to the stage? No stranger to the stage, Mr. Lucero. I don't even know where to start. Mr. Lucero has achieved tenure as assistant principal at Albert Leonard Middle School. Why are we laughing? We're laughing because the joke's on us. Mr. Lucero is now the director, I don't want to get it wrong, of pre-K to 12 Performing and Visual Arts for the City School District of New Rochelle. So, because Mr. Lucero has already moved on, we battled on whether or not we should actually acknowledge him in this way. I'm a little salty, but I'm still giving it to him because he has left us and gone on to greener pastures. And the lucky thing for us is that he is still actually with us. Mr. Lucero is one of the most talented people in so many ways. Anything you ask him, he knows how to do. He gives his all to his school and his school community. He puts his all in his work. You could not have a better partner to work with, a better colleague. We are lucky to have him. I'm happy he's still with us in whatever capacity he stays. Congratulations, Mr. Lucero. Mr. Lucero is joined by his daughter, Kaya, and his wife, Nicole. Our PTA president is secretly giving flowers over in this section. Okay. Last but not least, can I call to the stage school counselor, Miss Tiana Washington. Ms. Washington has been a school counselor at Albert Leonard Middle School for the past 4 years. However, she has been a dedicated member of the City School District of New Rochelle staff for the past 17 years. First as a general school monitor, security, then as district-wide attendance teacher, all leading her to a role as a school counselor here at Albert Leonard, where she puts all of her experiences and passion into her advocacy for her students. Ms. Washington is an asset to the City School District of New Rochelle. She is a hardworking school counselor who is passionate about taking care of her children. She is well respected amongst her colleagues and often collaborates to help them in the guidance department at Albert Leonard Middle School, creating new ways to engage with their students. Ms. Washington participates in many worthwhile programs, such as serving as the 8th grade student advisor and a facilitator for the Saturday Academy. She is advisor for Great Potential and My Sister Keep Her, Queen Collective. She also serves as on the district-wide safety committee for our school. As a new member of the guidance team, she has initiated new programming, such as how students currently are scheduled and how we meet with them individually. She is joined by her husband, James, her mother, Miss Pat Bennett, and her brother, Robert Bynum. Congratulations, Miss Washington. Here's your certificate. Thank you, ma'am. As we conclude our portion this evening, I extend heartfelt gratitude for your presence. The Albert Leonard Middle School community is immensely proud of the strides we've taken in cultivating a nurturing environment, showcasing just a glimpse of the myriad programs and initiatives we have here. From our soul-stirring melodies from our 8th grade chorus, to the impactful projects of our media club and the triumphs of our debate team, tonight underscores our commitment to amplifying voices and fostering inclusivity. The positive responses from our students, as gleaned from the survey, reaffirm the positive impact of these efforts. While these are just a few of the many programs and initiatives here at ALMS, we spotlight them tonight as examples of our collective dedication to growth, collaboration, and empowerment. As we acknowledge those receiving tenure, we celebrate the integral role they play in shaping our exceptional community. Thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to another year of meaningful progress at Albert Leonard Middle School. Thank you.
No, no, I won't. Yes. Right now, right now.
Why don't you use that bin and put the computer on it?
On it.
And we
Okay.
can do it right there.
That's
and
perfect.
Look down.
You can do that.
Because we need the podium.
I will be right back.
So I'll put it like here?
Yeah. And we can glance to the side
Yeah.
and see what slides we're on.
No problem.
Thank you. Yeah, and just turn it, there we go. Yeah, so we can look
Make sure
down.
you're working. All right.
Yes, beautiful, thank you.
No problem. Is that set up for you? That's good?
Is that your height? Just why don't you? I know what I need to do.
I'm good.
Here, I want to set you up nice, Dr. Roberts. Okay.
Sure.
Sorry, just do what you need to do, please. I'm good.
No problem. Well, firstly, I would like to thank Principal Edwards Thomas for that wonderful presentation today regarding our Albert Leonard Middle School. The most joyous part of my day is really seeing children's faces when I can, so I want to thank you for reminding us about why it is that we do this work. And what was made mention in a part of your presentation was related to our most vulnerable children, right? So we are going to transition into our next presentation this evening. This evening, we are going to have a conversation as it relates to our special education evaluation and the ensuing plan that will help us to bring our practices to a more responsive and proactive manner as it relates to our students in the special education program. And leading that work this evening is Dr. Olivine Roberts, who will share with us the vision of the plan. And supporting Dr. Roberts this evening, we have our Director of Elementary Special Education, and that is Dr. Yvonne Palmer, and our Director of Secondary Special Education, Ms. Michelle O'Brien. Dr. Olivine Roberts, I would like to invite you to the microphone to share with us our special education evaluation plan.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. Good evening, everyone. Board President William Iannuzzi, board members, Superintendent Dr. Reynolds, and the community. It is a pleasure to present to you tonight the action plan designed to address the recommendations lifted in the evaluation of our special education program conducted by the Public Consulting Group, which we'll refer to as PCG throughout this presentation. As Dr. Reynolds has noted, joining me tonight are Dr. Yvonne Palmer, who serves as the Director of Special Education for the elementary grades, and Michelle Palmer. Excuse me, where did Palmer come from? Oh my gosh, I just gave you a new name. My apologies. I do that all the time, by the way, sorry. Michelle O'Brien, Director of Special Education for our secondary schools. In doing so, we will begin by setting the context for tonight's presentation, then sharing the process and the development of the action plan. From there, we will present our implementation roadmap, and lastly, we will lift to your attention some implications that will impact implementation. As it is our custom, it is important that we frame the context by starting with our why, which is our steadfast commitment to providing comprehensive academic programming for our students in service to realizing our vision, accomplishing our mission, and ensuring that we provide a fair and equitable education for every student every day. In addition, the improvement of our special education services to our students with disabilities is directly connected to all 4 directions of our strategic roadmap. To that end, we were very intentional in aligning the special education action plan to the strategic roadmap. We also wanted to bring back to your attention the purpose of the evaluation, which was to identify areas of strength and, more importantly, areas of growth that would inform the development and implementation of a cogent strategic plan designed to improve practice and elevate student learning. Also reflected on this slide are the 6 effectiveness domains used by the PCG evaluators to group the 37 recommendations which were presented to the board and community in June. Throughout tonight's presentation, you will notice that these effectiveness domains and recommendations are consistently highlighted. Lastly, prior to presenting the action plan, it is important that we bring back to your attention the 37 recommendations, unless someone can stand and tell us all 37. Okay, seeing no one, we will go ahead and bring them back to your attention as aligned to the effectiveness domains and key topics. On this slide, Recommendations 1 through 15 are noted and are aligned to the effectiveness domain of learning environment, specialized services, addressing 3 key topics. The first topic of this domain is MTSS, which is multi-tiered systems of support, specifically focusing on recommendations 1 through 4. Followed by recommendations 5 through 8, which address the topic of special education, referral, assessment, and eligibility practices. And lastly, recommendations 9 through 15 address the topic of specialized services and inclusive practices. On this slide, you find recommendations 16 through 20 that are aligned to the domain of learning environment and specialized services, focusing on the topic of CSE meetings and IEP development, followed by recommendations 21 through 22, aligned to a new domain, high expectations and leadership, with a focus on the topic of inclusive community. Next are recommendations 23 through 25, also aligned to the domain of high expectations and leadership, but focusing on the topic of strategy and organization. Lastly, on this slide are recommendations 26 through 31, addressing the domain of family and community engagement. On this slide, please note that recommendation 32 is a carryover of the domain family and community engagement. Recommendation 33 is aligned to the domain of human capital. And lastly, you will note that recommendations 34 through 37 address the domain of systems and structures. At this time, please welcome Michelle O'Brien, who will present our action plan.
Good evening. With the context established, we are pleased to share the process and action plan designed to address the 37 recommendations. The creation of this comprehensive plan was not done in isolation. Knowing that a high-quality implementation is contingent upon the engagement of all stakeholders, we were very intentional in soliciting their participation in the process. Thank you. So much so that the first set of action steps was put forth by the leaders of the district, both school-based and central office, during our July leadership retreat. Over the next few weeks, the work group, in collaboration with our partners from PCG, expanded upon this work. In August, we selected feedback once again from the same leadership team during our August leadership retreat and from the Fuse leadership team in September. From there, the work group began drafting the key performance indicators, KPIs, to be used to measure progress and success. With a draft in hand, recommendations with targeted action steps and aligned KPIs, we once again solicited the feedback of the district leaders, Fuse leadership, and with committee members of the New Rochelle Special Education Parent-Teacher Association, known as SEPTA. The yielded product would not have been possible without the engagement of all. So we extend our deepest appreciation to them for their participation. Their input and voice were invaluable. As we reflected, this development process required at least 20 work sessions plus 8 stakeholder engagement sessions totaling at least 50 hours. As we position to share the developed action plan, we wanted first to begin by introducing the format of the plan displayed on the slide, starting with the effectiveness domains and topics, followed by the recommendations, then the accompanied action steps, and lastly, the correlated key performance indicators, or KPIs. Since the recommendations were aligned to 10 unique KPIs, which illustrate what we are striving to achieve at the completion of this action plan, we wanted to first begin with this end in mind by showing you how the KPIs are connected to the recommendations, followed by the unveiling of the full comprehensive action plan. Due to the comprehensive scope of this work, a multi-yeared plan is to fully tackle all 37 recommendations. Similar to the strategic roadmap, we have approximated 5 years for these recommendations to be addressed with fidelity. To that end, to measure our success, we will utilize the 10 KPIs, which include both quantitative and qualitative measures, as well as state and district measures. Next to each KPI is a measure that will be used, followed by our baseline, indicating our current reality. Please note that some baseline data denoted with the letter N will be established this school year. And in the last column are the end of plan metrics, specifying what we aim to achieve in 5 years and what will be used to monitor the implementation of the action steps over the duration of the plan. For example, let's look at the first KPI. This is a metric that focuses on improving literacy performance for all students, as well as our students with disabilities, which is also one of the metrics included in our strategic roadmap. This change in performance will be measured using the STAR and New York State Education Department NYSED assessments. Using the baseline reflected in the strategic roadmap, by the completion of the plan, we aspire to achieve the noted outcomes for all students and our students with disabilities. The following set of slides, 16 through 21, displays the alignment of the recommendations and their associated KPIs. In reviewing them, you will notice that the 10 KPIs are used repeatedly. On the slide, recommendations 1 to 10 are clustered according to the effectiveness domain, learning environment, and specialized services and topic. For example, recommendations 1 through 4 addressing the topics of MTSS have aligned KPIs that include all students, not just students with disabilities. The reason for that is MTSS is a multi-tiered system of supports that is proactive and preventative and integrates data and instruction to maximize student achievement and support students' social, emotional, and behavior needs from a strengths-based perspective. When all 3 domains, academic, social, and behavioral, are fully implemented with fidelity, fewer students should be referred for special education services, hence the third KPI in that cluster. The second cluster highlights recommendations 5 through 8, which are aligned to the topic of special education, referral, assessment, and eligibility practices. Of this cluster, I draw your attention to the third KPI. You will notice that it reads N%. That is because the end of plan target will be determined after the baseline has been established this school year. The last set of recommendations, 9 through 15, are aligned to the topic of specialized services and inclusive practices, with correlated KPIs, of which 3 are on the next slide. This slide shows the remainder of the KPIs aligned to learning environment and specialized services. Specialized services and inclusive practices, as well as the KPIs for recommendations 16 through 20, align to effectiveness domain, learning environment, and specialized services, CSC meetings, and IEP development. As a reminder, the KPI that reads N%, its end of plan target will be created after the baseline has been determined this school year. This slide depicts the recommendations aligned to high expectation and leadership. The first cluster containing recommendations, sorry about that. The first cluster containing recommendations 21 through 22, with the 4 aligned KPIs, address the topic of inclusive community. The second cluster with recommendations 23 through 25 and 5 KPIs, 2 are on the next slide, are in service to the topic of strategy and organization. On this slide are the remainder of the KPIs aligned to the topic of strategy and organization. In addition, you will find recommendations 26 through 32 and the 6 associated KPIs, one is on the next slide, which are aligned to the family and community engagement effectiveness domain. Again, as a reminder, wherever you see N%, those targets will be developed this school year after we have established the baseline for each one. On this slide, you will find the last set of recommendations 33 through 37 and the correlated KPIs. Recommendation 33, which is aligned to the human capital effectiveness domain, has 1 recommendation and 1 KPI. Our last cluster of recommendations is aligned to systems and structures and has 8 associated KPIs. The first 4 KPIs are shown on the slide. The remaining 4 KPIs aligned to systems and structures are displayed on this slide. At this time, we would like to share with you the sum of all the parts, the full comprehensive action plan. As previously shared, the slide depicts the format of the plan, starting with the effectiveness domains and targets, followed by the recommendations, then action steps, and lastly, the aligned KPIs, key performance indicators. Here's a sample of the action plan. You are welcome to access and view the full plan using the tiny URL or the QR code displayed on the screen. Because of the size of the plan, 28 pages, time will not permit us to share it in its entirety tonight. However, as shown on each slide, each recommendation has a prescribed set of action steps and aligned KPIs denoting how we will measure the success over the years and the completion of the plan. At this time, please welcome my colleague, Dr. Yvonne Palmer, who will share the implementation roadmap.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening. Again, to implement this plan with fidelity will require multiple years to do so effectively. So being mindful of this fact and to ensure that this is done with intentionality, we have been very strategic in creating an implementation timeline, noting when the 37 recommendations will be addressed. We will begin by first sharing a high-level overview of the implementation over the next 5 years, including this year. This year at a glance, which is displayed on this slide, and the next denotes the specific implementation phase of each recommendation. I draw your attention to the legend at the bottom of the slide, which signifies the 3 different phases of the work: planning, starting the implementation, or continuing and monitoring of the work. For example, you will notice that recommendation number 1 is denoted with an X in the first column, entitled Foundational Year, and will continue over the next 4 years as denoted by the letter C in each column. Also, in looking at recommendation 21, you will notice that the planning and implementation for that work are slated to begin next school year as reflected by the P and X notation, and will continue over the subsequent years. Again, being strategic, we were very deliberate in focusing first on recommendations that are key building blocks to the work, such as the creation of systems, processes, and structures. By the end of the year 2026-27, all the recommendations would have begun, not completed, but begun as indicated with the letter X or C. And the last year, 27-28, will be used to solidify the implementation of all the recommendations, again as denoted with the letter C. At a more granular level, reflected on this slide are those recommendations that we are addressing this school year. Again, these are necessary to ensure we are best positioned for success. Please note that some of them have already begun, and others will require us to engage in planning and preparation for implementation next school year. Next year will serve as our first full year of implementation. Noted on this slide and the next are the prioritized recommendations. You will notice that some are a continuation of the work from this school year. At this time, please welcome back Dr. Roberts, who will present some possible implications for practice.
Thank you, Dr. Palmer. As we prepare to address these recommendations, it is important that we once again lift to your attention some possible implications for practice or big rocks that warrant consideration. One moment, please. Thank you, Travis. Okay. Firstly, as reflected on the slide, is staffing. So, for example, the expansion of integrated co-teaching across the K-12 spectrum will require additional education teachers as well as general education teachers. That is just half of the lift. The other half is recruiting and hiring these individuals. And as we have experienced for the last 2 years, like the rest of the country, it's not a unique situation to the City School District of New Rochelle. We have been challenged in the recruitment and hiring of staff, particularly those with special education certification. Secondly, the training and capacity building of staff will require an allotment of time. After school and summer work may be the ideal time for some, but not for all. Hence, if we want to implement this plan with fidelity, We must ensure that our teachers, our staff, and our leaders have specific professional learning in time, and they must do so during the contracted day. For the past 3 years, because we've had 3 professional learning cycles in the district since my arrival, we have had 9 hours each year reserved for professional learning. The weight of this plan, the actions that are needed to transform this district, 9 hours will not suffice. It is important that we dedicate the time necessary in order to do this and do it well. Our students deserve that. So consequently, this has implications for the third big rock, the school calendar. And lastly, all 3, staffing, professional learning, and the school calendar, will have fiscal implications and will require us to make some changes and make some demands on our budget. Unfortunately, the PCG team that has been working collaboratively with us could not be here tonight, but in their absence, they have asked that we share this video message, which is about 1.5 minutes long. So please, I draw your attention to the screen. This concludes our presentation. We thank you for your attention, and at this time, we welcome your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts. Do any of my colleagues have any questions for tonight? The one question I will ask, what do you say to parents or stakeholders that ask, why is it taking so long? Why is it a 5-year plan instead of a 1-year plan?
Thank you for that question. And so I begin by going back to the number of recommendations. There are 37 in total. And we believe in doing quality work. And in order for us to implement the 37 recommendations with fidelity to ensure we have positive outcomes for our students will require time. Where we are as a system, as the evaluation has reflected, we did not arrive to this space and time overnight. So it's going to take diligence, it's going to take sweat equity in order for us to do this work and do this work well. More importantly, the end users who will be doing the lion's share of this work will be those in our schools. And it is imperative that we're sensitive and mindful of the amount of work that we're asking them to do with and for our students. So it would be negligent, and I use that word strongly, for us to try and rush and check the box to say we have done the 37 recommendations in 1 year and have no data to show impact. But just to say to the community, we have responded to the 37 recommendations. I do not believe that that is the legacy that district wants. So, under the leadership of Dr. Reynolds, we are going to go slow to go fast by first being very strategic and methodical in the recommendations that must be first addressed to build a foundation that will ensure positive outcomes. So, do we not understand the sense of urgency? We do. But we have to balance urgency and priority. And we also have to balance the lift that this will require to ensure sustainability and retention of the work. That is why when we outlined the roadmap, 4+ years are required. This year we've already begun, so this year plus 4 additional years. That is why I hope the community can understand the reason why we're taking the time to do this in a very thoughtful and deliberate manner.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts. How did your department plan on promoting this to current special education families or potential special education families? I think it's important that there's going to be a lot of changes coming in the next couple of years and really giving them the heads up and preparing them for this.
Okay, so thank you. We'll continue to socialize this with our school communities. We'll be making updates to the board, so it will be not only to the board but to the community at least twice per year. We'll be working very closely with our school-based teams to ensure that they too, because this is not the plan of 3 individuals. This is a district plan which will require all of us to become ambassadors of this work and be able to speak to this work in our local community, wherever we find ourselves. And so we'll be working with our schools, working with our partners, such as SEPTA, PTAC, and those to be able to answer questions. And we invite the tough questions. We don't run away from them. We do invite them because that's how we grow. But know that we will be very forthcoming with where we are with the plan, what is going well, what is not going so well, because writing the plan is easy. It's the implementation that will take, as I called it earlier, sweat equity. So, we may have missteps, but we'll own them, and we will make warranted changes based on the data. But know that we're going to lock arms with the individuals in our schools, because we can't do this work without them, and we can't do this work without our partners.
Dr. Roberts. Thank you, Dr. Roberts, for the presentation, and thank you for the team for a well thought out presentation. I guess the question I have is, why should we have confidence that we can start to make progress towards this, right? Because as a overall kind of district, and I think actually even just being able to uncover the issues has been great progress to begin with. But then why should we have confidence that we're actually going to be able to start implementing this over the next several years?
So I think I say this to my team all the times, data makes the invisible visible, right? And when we look at what our schools have been able to do under consistent leadership over the past 2 years, I believe and trust our schools. And I believe and have faith in our superintendent, the board, and the community that we will have the resources necessary to do this work. And so again, it's in the collective. It's not in an individual. It's about us rolling up our sleeves, doing what it takes, having that level of commitment, and not just applying words to this, but actually doing what's in the plan. And I wholeheartedly believe that when, not if, when we implement the action steps outlined in the plan, 5 years from now, this district, in regard to special education, will be in a different place. And so the proof is in the pudding, right? So time will tell, but where I stand today, I stand flat-footed in confidence that we as a district can do this and will do this.
Thank you. And one additional question is, we're talking specifically about special education. How does that also, or how will that impact the rest of our student population?
So if you notice, the first action step was about all students. And that was deliberate. We didn't make it the last, we made it the first. Because our students with special needs are first gen ed students. Special education is a service that they receive. So it is important that we first examine our, what we call first instruction, and to ensure that we're providing high quality instruction to our students and that we intervene in a timely manner. So that is why MTSS is the first action, and it's not just about academic, but it's a braided cord, right? Academic, social, and behavioral. My colleague, Dr. Joyner, is in the audience, and I know that she's working diligently with her team to begin addressing the other two domains of social and behavioral. When we start to braid academic, social, and behavioral together and have those strong systems in place, I strongly believe, as the research reports, that we will have less and less students being referred to special education. So that is why we were very intentional in starting with MTSS, multi-tiered systems of support, addressing what we are doing with our students, not just some, but all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts. And I would like to have an opportunity to add to that and to offer some additional insight to Trustee Ross's question. So along the lines of what Dr. Roberts said, and I'm going to work my way backwards, oftentimes what has happened in districts, so I won't just isolate New Rochelle, is that special education was seen in isolation. It was seen in a silo. The work is very intentional with this plan that we have in place. And I'm going to use the allegory that Dr. Roberts used. It's an intricate braid. We are attesting to the entire educational platform and approach in the district, and special education happens to be a portion of that. Keeping in mind that our students who are most vulnerable in terms of their learning processes are still, as Dr. Roberts said, our children who are learning in the environment. So that's no longer seen in isolation. It's now unified with our general education students. It's unified with, as stated, our behaviors. It's coupled with, or not coupled, but it's braided with our social skills for our students, because we know that a child is not able to learn if they are not socially prepared, if they are not behaviorally attending to what's necessary to be ready to receive the instruction in the space. So we have to look at our entire unit of instruction. And that's why this plan is a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. Secondly, I want to also state that what we are doing differently now is we are operationalizing our process so that it is either replicable if it proves to work for our students, or we can shift in real time and record the shifting. What we've done is as practitioners, and again, not just unique to New Rochelle, is we put things into action and we kind of see if it works. And if it works, we don't really have a record of the process of putting into place. This plan is very different, where we are going to be operationalizing every step that we take and using that data to make the invisible visible along the way. So that's a difference in the approach that we are taking now.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds, and thank you, Dr. Roberts, and your team. And thank you for addressing the recommendations from the Public Consulting Group, PCG, the Special Education Evaluation. And I have two questions. One is if you could just refresh our memories as to why we chose PCG, how we developed this relationship with this group. And then also in the video, the members from PCG said that they would be working with us on an ongoing basis. And I'm just going to refer back to the action plan. It gives a timeline in relation to planning, implementation, and continuing and monitoring. So my question is, will PCG also work with us to determine the deliverables, meaning things that have been completed? Because we're planning, implementing, beginning, and continuing, but doesn't mention anything about anything being completed. So just a refresher about our relationship with PCG and also the deliverables, how they're going to help us with that.
Thank you. So to answer your first question, we utilize the request for referral, which is RFP process, which is where we created a set of criteria and we invited vendors to respond. PCG did, along with other vendors, but through a committee, and this was a committee of both central office as well as school-based staff, we chose PCG because they were the ones who met the criteria. So that is how they were selected to be our partners. Okay? In regard to them continuing to work with us, they will for the next year or two, because as I shared with a group earlier tonight, the plan, writing the plan was the easy part. The implementation of the plan is now where the hard work begins. And because they have a global perspective and they have a wealth of knowledge in this area, we're going to continue to leverage their support in the implementation of the plan for the immediate future. In regard to an end date, the end date, let's see if I can find that, 27-28 is when the plan ends. The work will not end, right? Because we'll continue to have students and we must continue to implement these processes, structures, and systems that we have. So, but in terms of the evaluation, we believe that 5 years from now, we would have put in place with a level of confidence, these 37 recommendations that will position us to be able to do this work as, if you want to say, routine in our district. But the work will never end. Does that make sense? I hope so.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Roberts, and thank you, Dr. Reynolds. We spent at the executive session an hour and a half discussing this after we had weeks to review the notes. The community has understandably felt bruised and battered over the last many years in regard to not only some general education issues, but very much so the special education issues. And I would like to assure the community that this particular board has gone above and beyond to request, to ensure, to follow through, and has seen action taken by the administration that we have not seen in the past. That being said, the proof is in the pudding, and we are hoping that each and every endeavor that is put forth is sweetening the pot, and that we will reap the benefits for our students across the board. Please know that each board member has been very open, sometimes very critical, often very positive, and hopeful that as we see 37 as a huge number, 5 years as a long time for parents and children, that the initiation has begun, that the board and administration are on it in a way in which we have not witnessed. And the fact that PCG was on board with us through the summer and also is following through with us. They asked questions from every part of our community. They received answers, sometimes brutally honest. And I am hopeful, as I believe all the board and the administration and many of the teachers that we have spoken to, we have not obviously reached all of them, are watching very closely. So we need to have a sense of positivity in order for this to work. And we need honesty. When you see something, say something. Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much for the presentation. The board appreciates the diligence that you and your team have been doing with this matter, and we're excited to see what this brings to us in the future, especially around budget season.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Iannuzzi. And again, I would like to thank my colleagues, Dr. Roberts, Dr. Palmer, and Ms. O'Brien for the presentation this evening. Again, this is just the initial conversation. The work isn't done because the evaluation is done. The work isn't done because a plan is created. This allows us to dig deeper and to bring more exposure to what it is that we are doing in real time. It allows us to be vulnerable. It allows us to be critiqued. And it allows us to make sure that we are adhering to the promises that we've made to our families who receive special education services. As a reminder, this district took this initiative to have this evaluation done on a proactive measure, as a proactive measure. This is not in response to a state mandate. This is not as a response to some sort of criticism that is being developed outside of this environment. It's because we saw the need, we heard the need, and we independently wanted to make sure that we are addressing what's needed for our students in a timely manner, but also in a proactive and, most importantly, a sustainable manner, so that when we come to the end of the lifespan of this plan, that the conversation begins again. How do we improve from where we are at that point? And I don't like to live in the world of hope, and that's not one that I would want to promote, but the hope is that we're going to have such tremendous improvement that we can only go farther beyond from there. So this is the beginning of the conversation. And again, I would like to thank my colleagues for the presentation this evening. As we transition back to the podium, back to the dais, I'm going to just ask that you give us some indulgence.
Okay, great. So next up on our agenda are committee and liaison reports. Do any of my colleagues have any reports they would like to make? Ms. Bavosa?
I have tons. I'll try to go fast. First of all, I was remiss. Dr. Reynolds mentioned the junior high school musical at Webster. I have to tell you, I was sitting there singing along. These children in elementary school actually learned all their parts in a matter of 2 weeks to put on the presentation. It was phenomenal. Also at the NAACP dinner, which I was not able to get to, Brian Penn, who was a former student, was also recognized. And it starts to make me feel old because I'm listening to Makita saying how she was a student here and I was a teacher here for a very long time. The fund, as Dr. Reynolds mentioned, the pancake breakfast is this Saturday, starting at 8 a.m. in House 4 cafeteria of New Rochelle High School, near the tennis courts along North Avenue. Come see the principals and some members of the Board of Education dish out a delicious pancake breakfast prepared by Aramark. Minister Mark McLean, as mentioned by my colleague, is going to be the leader of the pack, of the parade. Families of New Rochelle High School juniors, the SAT, ACT prep information will be shared later this week on the New Rochelle Fund website. This is for the April 13th ACT and the May 4th SAT. As mentioned last meeting, the price is adjustable based on need. Also, at the Mac Theater at New Rochelle High School, in the next month, there will be a special art exhibit of the work of Laura Heiss, who was an art teacher in Albert Leonard for many years. When I have more details about that, I'll share that with you. The fund is pleased to announce for the new gala date, February 1st. I looked it up on the Farmer's Almanac. It's not supposed to have heavy snow till mid-February, so fingers are crossed. Right before in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, there will be an early bird special price. So keep looking for it. It's still a little costly, but you know what? We ended up giving out almost $22,000 of grants this week. Almost every building in the district. Huguenot Academy is on its way to building a new library. Balance bikes are coming to Jefferson and Columbus. Dancers are going to have platforms, parquet platforms at Isaac. Paved dance is going to be set up to help students. I can't even begin to tell you, it took us 5 or 6 hours to just debate where we were going to spend this money and trying to find every penny that we could. So thank you to everyone for being supportive. For those few people who were not able to get the grants, we had about 45 applications. So to give out 25 and to have a wait list is remarkable. It's probably the greatest amount that has been done ever since the fund was in existence. Please keep your eyes and ears open for Poetry Out Loud. And believe it or not, the Fund for Educational Excellence is back and swinging hard to let people know what it's all about.
Thank you, Ms. Bavosa. Do any other of my colleagues have any liaison reports? Ms. Williams.
Okay. I would like to share that I am the co-chair with my esteemed colleague, the Honorable David Peters of the Policy Committee, and we met this month along with Ms. Ross and also with Dr. Reynolds and members of the cabinet and with Will Iannuzzi. And we're working on reviewing our policies and making sure that they're up to date and that our policies reflect our strategic roadmap and they are policies that will help to move our district forward.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Williams. Any other colleagues who have any updates? Seeing none, Ms. Castellano-Manaya.
Very quickly, I just wanted to share a reflection from this week from the New York Marathon, which I did not run. I had no desire to run. However, a young woman named Kaylee, who has Down syndrome, finished the New York Marathon. And her mother said, "Never allow the opinions of others to become the myth that defines you." Never allow the opinions of others to become the myth that defines you. I love what her mother said about her and that unwavering support and the belief that Kaylee had in herself and her perseverance. And I truly am so proud to be in this school district, and I just wanted to share that the way that we embrace every single student, regardless of their ability, disability, regardless of their background, the way that we uncover their brilliance and their genius and help them see that in themselves and ensure that no one is being defined by a myth, a stereotype. I am very proud to be a part of New Rochelle, and I applaud all the work of our board, of our district leaders, of our superintendent, and most importantly, our teachers, our teaching assistants, our aides, and our students themselves, as we saw here tonight. Thank you. Don't let anyone define your future. You are amazing, and I hope that we can support you, all of our students, to your fullest potential and brilliance.
I have to apologize. I have one more thing. I'd like to thank because they're gone and we didn't have a moment. We had to squeeze it in. Kudos to Mr. Manning and the singers, Mr. Symbiotti and student media specialist, the debate team and their moderator, No Place for Hate, Ms. Christina Johnson, and the 7 receiving tenure. Whew, so much. What a great time tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Mimosa.
Oh, and
Ms. Williams.
also, just to piggyback, I know, Mrs. Bravosa and Dr. Reynolds mentioned the NAAC Centennial Celebration. So this is the 100th year of the New Rochelle branch of the NAACP, 1923 to 2023. And I'm just looking and I'm noticing that there are quite a few New Rochelle graduates, like Vivian Spady was honored. Rashawn Young was honored, and I believe that he is a coach here in the district, and he's on the Wall of Fame. And also our beloved, the Honorable Pearl C. Quarles, who just passed away recently, and she was the first African-American female school board member, school board president, and she was also a lot of firsts. And I'm sure some of the names I don't recognize, but they probably are New Rochelle alums as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Williams. Next up on our agenda is public comment. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to convene into the public comment period of the meeting. The Board of Education adopted Policy 1230 in April 2022 to ensure all members of the public have the opportunity to speak at both of our board meetings each month. We believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues. Having said that, please note that the board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed to be a discussion. Accordingly, understand the board will not respond to your concerns and questions tonight. We take your concerns and questions seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research issues if need be. We will, however, respond to your questions and concerns at a future meeting or have the proper staff member get back to you at the appropriate time. I also want to point out that under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to entertain any comments or questions about school personnel and students. Please know, however, that we take personnel concerns very seriously. On these matters, we would ask you to go through the appropriate administrative channels. Finally, we recognize that right now our nation and our community are polarized on a number of issues. That said, we want our school board meetings to serve as an example to our students that members of our school board and members of our community can deal with controversial issues in a civil manner and demonstrate mutual respect for one another. In that spirit, we will insist that all speakers and members of the audience maintain civility and respect for any divergent views that others possess. We ask that speakers please address their comments to the board directly rather than the audience. In the unlikely event the meeting becomes unruly, the board will recess the meeting and return once order has been restored. Finally, I want to remind everyone that you may submit written comments to the board in lieu of speaking during the public comment period if you so choose. Tonight, we have set aside 30 minutes for public comment, where each speaker who was signed up before 3:30 today has 3 minutes to speak. If a person requests to speak after 3:30, speakers may sign up in person at the meeting with the clerk and will be afforded the opportunity to speak for 2 minutes during the public comment period if time permits. Our first speaker of the night is Mr. Vincent Malfitano.
Okay, let me know when you reset. Thank you. Well, look, Vince Malfitano. About a month or so ago, I read from the district's newsletter a rather racist presentation from the district, which said, unfortunately, I guess maybe a lot of folks didn't get it, New Rochelle High School has created a class for students of color. Clearly a racist and illegal post. Now, I know the district is going to fix that, and I've asked that this be put into the next newsletter as a correction. I understand the district is going to tell the community that this is open to all students. But here's the problem I have. Years ago, I came and sat in this audience, and I heard some school board members say, we suffer from institutional and structural racism. And I said, okay, show me where it is. Well, I just found it for you. I hate to say it, I have seen the enemy, and it is us. You guys created the racism by this post. I suggest we look inside our souls, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody who could write something like this needs to be found out. Who put this thing together? Who put this ridiculous post out to the community? Clearly illegal in a public school to say, we're creating a class based on race. Do you disagree with me? We have found the enemy, and it is us. Look inside your souls, ladies and gentlemen, or maybe you're part of the Ibram X. Kendi crowd. The cure for past discrimination is present discrimination. That's in his book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. And the cure for present discrimination is future discrimination. Is that who you are? Is that who we are? Last thing, November is Native American Heritage Month by an act of Congress, a resolution. Did you know that? To honor the Native Americans who populated this great land before the settlement of the folks from Europe. I guess November was picked because of the Pilgrims and the Thanksgiving and a lot of other reasons. But this crowd here, this school board, instead decides to make Columbus Day Indigenous Peoples Day, insulting the Italian community. October is Italian Heritage Month because of Columbus. What's with you guys? What's wrong with you people? Did you look to insult people on purpose, or is it some sort of a woke world political wet dream? November. Aren't you willing to have a happy story? The day after Thanksgiving had no name on it. We could have made that Indigenous Peoples Day or Native American people. Oh, this is so depressing.
Thank you, Mr. Malfitano. So that is the end of our meeting for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Our next meeting will be, hold on, December 5th, 6 p.m. And I believe it's at Isaac. Hold on, it's not populating. Nope, it's City Hall, Central Administration. Colleagues, can I get a motion the second to adjourn the meeting?
So moved, Castellano Minaya.
Second, Williams.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Good night, everyone.